I remember sitting in a meeting with one of my owners who was a boomer, and she says, "Oh my gosh, look at your phone. Look at your text." So I bring up my phone, and I look at the text, and I see that I've been included on a string between the partners, and it said in big letters, "Julie gave notice." Now, the reason that was a big deal is because Julie was a millennial whom this particular owner and managing partner, as well as the other partners, had spent a good deal of time trying to understand and move this millennial along in the organization to a greater sense of productivity, and there was a lot of work that went into that. There was just a lot of effort, and I could see it on her face. She's asking the question, has all of this effort even been worth it? She was only here for 2.5 years, not even 2.5 years, and she's decided to run off to a great adventure in Alaska. And the question is, if we spend all this energy, but they're still going to leave, what's the value? Isn't it just wasted time and wasted effort? But what we have to understand is that we're sitting on the largest transfer of wealth in U.S. history. $30 trillion of wealth is going to change hands from the boomer to the millennial generation. Xers will get a little bit of that too. Let's remember that. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of power and there's a lot of influence. And sometimes it's kind of funny. I'll be with one of my boomer clients, and it's almost like this kind of defeated, slumped shoulder thing. It's like, gosh, I just don't understand them, but they're going to be running this place eventually, so I guess we got to figure it out, It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. It's like this doomed sense that they're coming. And there are 20 million more millennials now than boomers. Boomers used to be the big group. Now there's more millennials. And the most populous age in the millennial group, of the largest group in society, is 26 years old. So there's more 26-year-olds on the planet right now than any other age. I said that to one of my clients. He's a partner in an organization, and he has a master's in tax accounting. And so he corrected me, and he said, actually, 27 is the age. And I said to him with a bit of smugness, actually, Lance, it's 26.7, and they round up in the article you read. Right? Gotcha. Well, with all this transfer of wealth and influence and leadership, everybody's scratching their head. What are we going to do? How are we going to figure out how to pass along this leadership and influence and history and goodwill and community and all of this? How do we make this transition? Even the financial planning industry is scrambling. Financial planners are having to learn a whole new language about how to appeal to these soon-to-be wealthy millennials, who are most of them not wealthy yet. But the problem is that they see money, they see wealth, they see investing different than the boomers. And so you've got a financial planner guy who is typically working with somebody minimum of $1 million to be able to invest and work with, and the millennials don't have that yet, but it's very clear they're going to. And so the financial industry is really scrambling. So we're here today kind of asking the question, so how do we bridge this? How do we take the potential that's here and really increase the performance at a greater rate that gives us a little more comfort, knowing that we're heading not for a drop or a misdirection because we can't seem to bridge it, but that we're actually going to maintain and maybe even do better. Because one of the things that I just had this conversation yesterday with one of my boomer clients is that the struggle right now is on how to make these two models fit, the boomer model, the millennial model. But she said to me, there's coming a day when that won't be as much of a struggle, right? And it's basically true, because there will come a day, just by virtual residency in that many numbers, systems, processes will begin to reflect the broad stroke understanding of that generation. But right now, it's in between, it's blending. So what is the gap? What is that gap made of between millennials and boomers? Well, here's what I'd say. It's not what we think. And I say that because there's a lot of mythology about millennials. And boomers too, but really there's a lot of mythology about millennials because it's the hot thing right now to talk about and to write about. And the problem I see as an organizational psychologist is there's far too much information that comes from running millennials through an X-ray, when really what we need to do is run them through an MRI. Because we're making some broad-brushed assumptions about what the millennials are made of or how they see things. We have to know more than just their age group. We want to know, well, this particular millennial, what part of the world are they from? What's their ethnicity? What part of the region did they grow up in the United States? What was their socioeconomic level growing up in their family of origin? What is their socioeconomic level now? What is their level of education? What are their broad personality structures? Like, who are they as a person? And when we start breaking it down to that, we can see that we're making some broad assumptions that are actually getting in our way.